I had to choose between my family and my church. The Dark Lord gave me 30 days to decide. Sacrifice 3 members of my family, or watch my church collapse. Everything I'd built, everything I'd worked for, gone. I thought I could find another way. I thought I could negotiate. I thought maybe I could just disappear. Start over somewhere else. But I was wrong. They took my sister first, then my nephew, then my mother. Not because I chose the church, because I didn't choose fast enough. This happened about 7 years ago, and I'm still here, still pastoring, still preaching, standing in front of my congregation every Sunday, knowing what I did, knowing what I allowed to happen. My family thinks it was just bad luck, tragedy, God's will. They have no idea. If you're watching this and your pastor suddenly started talking about the cost of anointing, they might have been given the same choice I was, and they might have chosen differently than I did. Hear me out, and understand why and how I ended up like this, how I got to make the deal in the first place. In 2015 and 2016 thereabout, my church was growing. About 500 members. Good offering. Stable finances. I was comfortable. But there was a problem I couldn't fix. I wasn't powerful. Not like the other pastors in my city. I could preach. I could teach. I could pastor people well. But I couldn't prophesy. Couldn't heal. Couldn't do miracles. My church was good, but it wasn't special. And in the church world, if you're not special, you're invisible. I watched other pastors grow to thousands while I stayed at 500. Watched them get conference invitations while I got nothing. Watched them on TV, on radio, making money, building empires. And I wanted it. Honestly, what I wanted wasn't for God. I wanted the recognition, the respect, the platform. I became close with one singer. This was after I invited him to minister in my church. After the program, he started coming to my church once in a while to minister, even when I have not made any offer. That is how we became friends. And this gospel singer introduced me to one pastor. His name was Solomon. I think Solomon was having a conference and this singer made sure I got the chance to talk in that conference. And after the talks, Solomon approached me and he told me how good and powerful my message felt. That was the beginning of our friendship. He also on the other hand made me organize a program for him in my church. And to tell you the truth, he really brought the heaven down. You see, Solomon had everything I wanted. Multiple branches, TV ministry, and obviously a lot of members. So over time, we got real close and he started letting me in on a lot of secrets in the ministry. He will make statements like, a lot of these pastors you see on TV are having their source different from what the masses think. He will say all these things and will not explain any of them when I push further. I think the day he really opened up to me about such things was when we went for his mother-in-law's funeral. I was with him in my hotel room. That was the day he came up with the real deeper meanings into the things he always talked about. The things he said to me that evening, I never forgot them until I experienced them myself. He started by saying that I had potential, and it pains him that I do not know how to harness the potential and gift that I have. You see, at this point, I was all in, because I wanted to know how I would also get to that point. He ended the conversation by saying, "What if I told you there's a place that can unlock what you're supposed to be?" He said this and left. But before he got out of the room, he said, "Think about what I just said." And yes, I didn't sleep much that night. I kept on thinking and thinking. So, the next morning, I asked him of what he meant. Solomon said, "We will talk about it when we leave the place for the city." You see, I'd heard rumors. Stories about pastors going to places all over West Africa for spiritual empowerment. But I'd always dismissed them as conspiracy theories. But Solomon was real. His power was real. His success was real. And he told me that his spiritual father introduced him to one man in Burkina Faso. And that was the beginning of his success story. He revealed to me that I would pay some money, which he was ready to help me with. And then, there is always something they ask of you, which is different from each person. Truly, Solomon gave me the money and everything that will enable me reach this place. He called someone from D and told him that a friend of his will be coming there, and so he should look out for my well-being. The place was not in the city when I got there. The person who met me took me and we drove away from the city. Let me tell you something, the place this guy took me wasn't what I was expecting. It wasn't a shrine, not some scary occult temple, just a large house with a courtyard in the back. Because their official language is French, there was this woman who interpreted everything to me in English, except the ones they casually speaks in broken English. The ritual took 3 days. Day 1 was preparation, fasting. Herbal drinks that made everything feel distant and dreamlike. They shaved my head, drew symbols on my body with ash, chanted in a language that seemed to vibrate inside of you. They asked me to rest and allow the herbs work on me. So the first day, I slept all through. Day 2 was the offering. They ended a goat's life, collected its blood in a bowl, made me drink some of it mixed with herbs. The rest they used to mark the symbols they'd drawn on me the day before. Then they took me to a room with no windows, just candles and a circle drawn on the floor. They made me sit in the center of the circle. Call them, the old man said. Call the ones who give power. I didn't know who I was calling, but I called anyway, in a way they taught me, over and over, for hours. I stayed in the room all alone for about 4 hours. The old man walked in and said, call them again. I repeated the same thing for some time. And then, they came. I can't describe what I saw. Can't explain it in words that would make sense. But I saw entities, forms, moving in the shadows around me, circling, getting closer. The old man was still there, sitting outside the circle, watching. They hear you, he said. Now you must agree. They didn't speak with voices. They spoke directly into my mind. And what they said was simple. We give you what you want, you give us what we want. When we ask, I asked what they wanted. Payment, when time comes. 3 from your bloodline, or 30 from your house. But the trick was, they knew I didn't understand what 3 from your bloodline meant. And truly I didn't understand it. I thought maybe, money. 3 payments. I didn't know, so I said yes. Day 3, they sealed the agreement. Blood on the forehead, blood on the hands, blood on the chest. Symbols drawn in blood over the ash symbols. That evening, they marked my back and put some black mixture in it whilst the blood was coming out. When it was done, the old man said, now you have power. Use it. But remember, debt must be paid. They will come for payment. I flew home the next morning. When I returned, the first 3 days wasn't easy for me at all. I couldn't sleep. In my sleep, I started seeing the same entities forming and talking with me like a human would talk to his fellow human. Solomon was the one who guided me on how to really use the entities and the powers. The truth is, the power was immediate. The second Sunday after I returned, I looked at a man in the congregation and just knew things about him. His name was David. I'd never met him before, but I knew his wife's name, his job, his financial struggle, his hidden addiction. I called him out, prophesied over him. Everything I said was accurate. He fell to his knees crying. The whole church went wild. Prophecy became something that I was known for. And like that, my church started growing. Solomon revealed a lot to me. Advised me to go to radio and TV. That way, I could attract a lot of people, which they will attribute to me being on radio and TV, instead of the entities. At this time, everything I'd wanted, I was getting. And I forgot about the agreement. I was so much enjoying my newfound life, fame and money that I didn't even think of the agreement. I preached about anointing, about breakthrough, about stepping into your destiny. My family was proud of me. My sister would call and say, God is really using you. And my nephew looked up to me, wanted to be a pastor like me. And he was, because he had become part of the young pastors in my church. I loved them, I really did, but I loved my success more. It happened I think 3 years after I returned from Burkina. I was in my office at church, preparing for Sunday service. And I felt something. A presence. The same presence I'd felt in that room in Burkina. Then I heard the voice. Not out loud. In my mind. Time to pay. Went about my day. Preached on Sunday. But the voice came back, stronger. Time to pay. 3 from bloodline, or 30 from house. Choose. I started trying to understand what I'd agreed to. So I went to the same person, Solomon. He explained to me what that meant, and even revealed to me the choices that were given to him. That's when I understood. 3 from bloodline meant 3 family members. Blood relatives. They would die. I had to choose which 3. And if I didn't choose, they would choose for me. 30 from house meant 30 church members. People under my spiritual authority. They would die. I had to send them. Sacrifice them. And if I didn't, they would take them anyway. I had 30 days to choose. It was week 3 that I thought I could make a choice. So I tried to choose the church. 30 members. I could pick 30 people. Sick people who were going to die soon anyway. People who wouldn't be missed as much. I made a list. But I couldn't do it. Couldn't send them. Couldn't condemn them. These were people who trusted me. Who came to me for prayer. For guidance. Who called me a pastor and believed I had their best interest at heart. How could I murder 30 people? But how could I murder 3 family members? Day 30 came. I hadn't chosen. Day 31, my sister died. Heart attack. 34 years old, no history of heart problems. No warning. Just dead. At her funeral, I stood there looking at her casket, knowing I ended her. Knowing if I just chosen, maybe I could have picked someone else. Someone older. Someone who'd lived a full life. But because I didn't choose, they chose for me. And they chose her. 40 days after the death of my sister, my nephew followed. Car accident. 21 years old. About to graduate from university. Had his whole life ahead of him. Single car accident. No other vehicles involved. No alcohol. No drugs. Police said it looked like he just drove off the road. At 70 miles an hour. He was the one who looked up to me. Who wanted to be like me. Who called me his hero. I ended his life. 6 months after that, my mother. Stroke. 70 years old, but healthy. Active. No warning. The doctor said it was sudden. She was gone before the ambulance arrived. 3 from bloodline. They took them because I wouldn't choose. At my mother's funeral, my father pulled me aside. Asked me if I noticed anything strange. 3 deaths in 6 months. All sudden. All unexpected. I told him it was just tragedy. Bad luck. He looked at me like he knew I was lying. But he didn't push. The voice came back after my mother's funeral. Debt paid, for now. That was 3 years ago. And every day since, I wake up wondering when they'll come back. When they'll demand payment again. Who they'll take next. My father is still alive. My younger brother. My wife. My children. How many more will die because of what I did? People look at me and see success, anointing, power. They don't see the man who murdered his family. Every Sunday, I stand in that pulpit and preach about God's love. About His faithfulness. About His protection. And I'm lying. Not about God. God is real. God is faithful. But I'm lying about myself. About where my power comes from. About what I did to get it. My wife doesn't know. She thinks the deaths were natural. Tragic, but natural. Sometimes she says things like, God has really blessed your ministry. Or, I'm so proud of how you're impacting people. And I want to tell her, want to confess. Want to say, I traded the family for this church. Your sister-in-law, your nephew, your mother-in-law, I ended their lives. But I can't, because if I tell her, she'll leave, take our children, and then I have lost them for nothing. I've thought about stopping, closing the church, walking away. But the voice told me, if you stop, we take more. You serve until we release you. I'm trapped. Please, you should know this. If your pastor comes back with sudden power, if people around them start dying mysteriously, they might be paying the debt. Because if your pastor made the choice I couldn't make, if they chose the church over their family, they might be choosing church members to sacrifice. And you could be on their list.